Have you ever wondered what would happen if you saved half of your paycheck for years and how different your finances will be today? That's exactly what I tried for 8 straight years, and it got me to $400,000 before 30 without living like a monk or getting lucky. So in this video, I'll show you the changes that I made and how you can start building your own 6-figure future fast. This is fake, by the way. To start, let me show you why you shouldn't confuse saving with living broke. So when I first discovered the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, I was hooked. The idea of breaking free from the 9 to 5 and living life on my own terms was just incredibly appealing. And so I went all in. I cut out restaurants. I even stopped taking Ubers and just took public transportations everywhere, even if it doubled my commute. I remember I started to really compete with myself on how much I could save, and I really pushed myself because I'm just an overly competitive person for no reason whatsoever. And so at one point, I was probably saving around 70–75% of my post-tax income. And on paper, it looked impressive. But in reality, I was drained. I sucked all of the joy out of my life in the name of saving money. And so no dinner outs, no spontaneous plans, no margin for fun. Then one day, an email went out at my first company that someone passed away shortly after retiring. After decades of hard work, he didn't even get to enjoy the freedom that he earned. And that moment hit me hard. I remember thinking like, what's the point of saving aggressively if I'm too miserable to enjoy the journey, or worse, never make it to the destination? And that was a wake-up call. I realized I had to stop living only for the future, especially if it meant sacrificing everything that made the present worth living for. And while saving is important, it shouldn't be at the cost of your present happiness and health. And personal finance is not about being extreme, where you save either all of your disposable income or nothing at all. It's about striking a balance that works for your situation. So here's how you could apply this. Pick a target that challenges you, but still lets you enjoy your life. For some, that might be saving around 20–30% of your income. For others, it might be more or even less than that. But the key is to don't treat saving as a competition like I did. You can learn a lot about your personal finance and little hacks and tricks, but don't obsess over it. And knowing how to manage your money should be a tool to live the life you want and not the end goal. Next, let me show you what actually happens when you take care of your money. And over the last several years, I've grown my net worth to over $400,000. Yeah, I already said this, but here's what actually might surprise you. I didn't save all of that. In fact, roughly a third of that probably came from investments growth alone. That means a significant portion of my net worth was generated not by my effort, but from my money working for me. And let me give you a real example. Last year, I didn't contribute a single dollar to my investment account. I was focused on building my online business, so I paused all new contributions. And yet, my portfolio still grew by $93,000. That's $93,000 in passive income. No extra hours worked, no side hustles, just growth from my investments that I already own. So how did this happen? Because I laid the foundations early, invested consistently, and I stayed patient, and eventually compound interest kicked in and started doing the heavy lifting. The longer you stay invested, the more this happens. And over time, your contribution just matters less and your investment growth matters more. And at a certain point, and eventually, the majority of your portfolio won't be from the money that you saved, it will actually be from the money that your money made. And in the beginning, your savings rate has the biggest impact. But as your portfolio grows, your investment returns start to outpace your contributions. And at some point, your money becomes the main wealth builder, not your paycheck. And here's an example to prove this. Person A invests $10,000 per year for 10 years and then just completely stops. And person B starts 10 years later and invests the same $10,000 per year, but for 30 years. Even though person B contributes 3 times more money, person A ends up with more simply because they started earlier and gave compound interest more time to work with. So how do you apply this? And the best thing you could do is, no matter what, start where you're at today, even if it's small, because time is what makes your money grow. And try to be as consistent as you can, where you make saving and investing a habit. And I'll be honest that the initial growth will feel very, very slow, but if you give it time, the results will come. Next, let me show you how you can get more even while still using the same strategy and tools. Now, imagine you give a professional baseball player and a high school player the same exact wooden bat. Who do you think would hit the ball further? I mean, In this case, the pro will probably hit the ball twice as far, maybe more. And some high school players might blame that they need the newest bats and better tools to hit further, but fail to realize that those things aren't the real problem. And this is the same for your finances. And you can have the same savings rate as someone else, say 20% of your income. But if you're earning $50,000 while someone else is earning $150,000, their 20% is gonna take them much, much further. This seems obvious, obviously. This part of personal finance is still very much overlooked because earning more accelerates your growth even while still using the same tools. So how do you increase your earnings? And the best way to grow your income is to learn how to do your job well. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. No, it's to perform well on job interviews, if I'm being honest. Like, if you could ace job interviews really well, that will take you to the next level. Like, I could sugarcoat it and say you need to grow your skill sets so you could get promoted faster and get a better raise. But the first job that I had gave me 0.8% raise every year. 0.8, not even a 2% raise to at least keep up with inflation. It wasn't until I got another job that gave me a 50% increase of my salary that helped me speed up my progress. And even with the raise, I was probably spending more on things that I want to spend money on while still saving more for my future, which is a obvious win-win situation without feeling like I have to make a sacrifice on either one. Now that you've seen what saving half my paycheck did for me, but that's only part of the story. So watch this video next where I'll break down exactly the 3 biggest lessons I learned while building almost a $8,000 a month in passive income, including one lesson that I wish I knew way earlier. You'll know which one I'm talking about.